home to about 600 Amish Mennonite men and women. The main difference between the Amish and Mennonite is electricity. The Amish do not believe in it, thinking it will direct them away from God. The Mennonite usually have electricity only for lighting in their homes. They also drive vehicles. Growing up only a few miles away from Converse, I was always used to seeing the Amish men and women and never thought anything of it. So I wanted to know what other people thought about it.
Okay, when I think of Amish people, I think of the hats that they wear and the dresses.
When I see the Amish, I either think of horse and buggies or them sitting in a house with no lights.
I think of big families and brown clothes.
I think Amish people are really respectable because they follow a lot of the rules that they hold for themselves, but I also think that they're kind of weird because they just separate themselves from the rest of society.
I interviewed a woman from the Amish community. Her identity is remaining anonymous. This isn't uncommon due to the fact of fear of the community finding out or feeling as if they were going behind the church's back. I asked her a few questions to get more of an inside look into the Amish culture. So, how long have you been a part of the Amish community?
I've been a part of the Amish community since I was born. My grandparents were a part of it as well as theirs. It goes back as far as my ancestors do.
Has there always been something that you wanted to carry on? Have you ever thought about leaving before?
I believe it crosses every Amish person's mind about wanting to leave and wanting to stay. You want to experience the outside world, and you ultimately get to.
Is that called Rumspringa, when you get to venture out and experience things outside the church for, is it a year or two?
Yeah, that's correct. Most Amish end up coming back though because we don't want to leave a lifestyle that we've been living since we were born. I just recently came back from Rumspringa actually, and it was really hard to adjust.
How is that?
Well, I chose to leave the church when I was 16, and I was away for about 9 months. My aunt and her husband are no longer a part of the Amish community because they chose not to get baptized. So during my leave, I stayed with them because they live what we call an English life. It was difficult completely changing from one lifestyle to another. Living Amish and then having a television of your own, electricity, and a car was really scary.
So, what was it like experiencing having a TV, driving a car, and all these different kinds of things that you're not accustomed to?
It was exciting but shocking at the same time. There were sexual innuendos on a majority of the television shows I watched, and that was different. Riding in a car is completely different than riding in a horse and buggy. And my aunt and uncle didn't go to church, and I was used to frequently going to church back home. And then switching from wearing a dress and a bonnet to jeans and a t-shirt was something I actually liked. It was more comfortable, and I have never worn tight clothes before, so it was nice complimenting my figure for the first time.
So, you decided to return and be baptized because...
I really missed my family, and I was so accustomed to this lifestyle, I didn't want to stray away from Amish tradition.
Okay, well thank you. That is all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for your time. From the interview, I learned the Amish culture is a completely different lifestyle than what most people are used to. When I was younger, I always wondered why the girls always wore dresses and bonnets, and the men had long beards. I learned later on that the women wore dresses that reached the length of their ankles and were usually a dark, one solid color. These colors and shapes of their clothing would not flaunt their figures, nor would it draw attention to it. It was to show their modesty. Depending on the color of the bonnet, you could tell if a woman was married or not. White meant that the girl was single, while a dark blue or black meant she was married. They conceal their hair with bonnets because they believe their head should be covered for prayer due to 1 Corinthians. It reads, "But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. It is the same as having her head shaved." In conclusion, even though our style of living is different from theirs, we ultimately live in the same world, and for others, right down the street. They may dress and act differently, believe a different religion, confine themselves to a different type of society, and stray away from the modern world. But just as we believe their lifestyles are normal to us, we need to remember our lifestyle may be aberrant to them.